everybody out there on YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we're going to be continuing our review series on each of the episodes of Young Justice. To get the introductions out of the way, I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Ray Mouse 1.
We finished up Season 1, Episode 1, Independence Day last week, or the last video that we did in this review. This particular episode is entitled Fireworks. We left off from the initial members of the Young Justice Squad, Robin, Kid Flash, and Aqualad, freeing Superboy from his pod at Cadmus. They end up getting captured. This particular episode continues on. They're captured. Turns out that, guess what? Dr. What's his name? Dr.
Desmond.
Yeah, Dr. Desmond, he convenes with his boss, the Light, who is the great big bad guys, set of bad guys that are running things behind the scene throughout not only this particular season, but also continuing into season number 2. He asks them what to do. Well, they tell him to go ahead and clone the sidekicks, replace them, and then to dispose of the originals. All right. After a little bit of convincing, they convince Superboy to go ahead and help them escape. During the battle, Dr. Desmond goes ahead and he ingests the Blockbuster formula to turn into Blockbuster. Huge fight ensues. They completely level Cadmus. All right. After that, lo and behold, Justice League arrives, to see what's going on. They sort through the whole story, and even though they're happy with the results of what the young sidekicks had actually done, they're not too happy about the fact that they went off on their own. However, the sidekicks stand up for themselves. They say, "Hey, look, this is stuff you trained us to do. This is our work. Our work was good. We're going to continue doing this." That, along with the presence of Superboy and his very adamant, "Look, you're either on board with this or you're going to get out of the way." That pretty much convinces Batman and the rest of the league that, hey, we got to go ahead and get these guys organized and doing stuff on the regular, right? So they convene everybody to Mount Justice. Once they arrive over there to Mount Justice, they introduce Miss Martian. She joins the team, and the episode ends with basically the Light saying, hey, look, even though we've lost the weapon, the Cadmus Labs is now being run by Guardian, who's running things with Double X and also Dr. Spencer and everything else. They're like, is this going to go ahead and put a huge dent in our plans? They're like, no, this is actually not a bad thing. We can play this up. And that's how the episode ends. I think that's pretty much for the synopsis, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fireworks, this particular one, the second episode actually aired with the first when they debuted Young Justice out on Cartoon Network back in November 26, 2010. Those two episodes together, they put it together and basically made it a 1-hour event special, and both of those aired the same night. Okay, just like last week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do these reviews. We're doing them for each and every episode. First thing we're going to go ahead and we're going to run through, in this particular episode, what did you like about the episode? What stood out to you? Guys, floor is open.
There was comedy in both Independence Day and Fireworks, but it was funny how Robin, he was trying to get out, when they were captured and all that. And he's like, Batman would, be so angry at me. And Kid Flash was like, that's what you were worried about? Yeah. When you think about it, you don't want Batman angry at you. With Superboy, when those sidekicks got captured and they were like, are you gonna burn us with your heat ray vision? And he's like, since I don't have it, I might as well release you. Then he tries to fly and he can't. So Superboy, you get introduced to his limits as well as you get introduced as the character. I like the way they did that. They didn't wait on until like later episodes to find out what he could or couldn't do. But the mind control thing with the genomes, that was kind of puzzling to me. But because why couldn't they mind control everybody at that point in order to get them back in their set? But whatever. The action was cool. Yeah, and at the end, I'm Superman's clone, and everybody's like, "Oh no, oh god!" And you saw Superman's reaction. You saw him not liking that. And even though you knew that Superboy wanted to look up to Superman, Superman still was not liking that. Regardless, you saw it in his mannerisms, his actions, and he was just like, no. And the funniest thing about that is that continues throughout the freaking series. But it was the comedy, the action, them stepping up to their proteges at the end, and then getting introduced with their own hideout to be overseen as their own team, and then an introduction with Miss Martian. Today is the day. Brilliant, just absolutely brilliant, and a fun episode.
Yeah. What about you, Grey Mouse? What did you like? What stood out for you in this particular episode?
Well, I mean, Dean pretty much covered everything I was going to say anyway.
I covered everything?
But they started working as a team, and nobody went ahead, and that's what I liked about it.
Okay, all right. One of the things that I really liked, the ending of this particular episode, the dialogue with the light actually stood out to me a lot. The whole interchange between, I think it was Lex and Vandal Savage, and there's somebody else in between, where Lex sits there and says, "What concerns me is the children. We now know that the League is willing to employ young heroes to do their dirty work." Somebody else says, "That's a dark twist." And then Vandal Savage ended up saying, "Yes, but one that can be played to our advantage. Even the temporary loss of the weapon may prove useful. Eventually, everyone sees the light." The coolest thing about this particular series is the dialogue, even when nothing is happening on screen, because literally all you're seeing is like these figures of light in these different panel screens. So nothing is happening. All that's going on is dialogue. The storytelling is superb, because the whole thing with the villains sitting there, saying, "Wow, the Justice League is making children do their dirty work," and one guy off screen goes, "Damn, that's a dark twist." In other words, that's fucked up. But I guess with the villains doing their jobs as well as they are, that really kind of requires them to do that.
What's funny? It just hit me. It just hit me right now with the light and the light images. That kind of reminds me of the first Superman. When you had the council and they were sentencing Zod, Ursa, and Non to the Phantom Zone. Guilty. That kind of reminds me of that.
That was from 1976 or something like that, right? Yeah, 77, 78. Yeah, first Superman. But yeah, that does go ahead and present itself a great callback to that. Okay, now putting the praise that we have aside, all right. Okay, just like the last video, was there anything that stood out in this particular episode that you didn't like or that you didn't care for, or if you had a chance to go ahead and change it now that, like I said, we've seen these episodes multiple times, what would be that thing and how would you change it?
Like I said, the genomes and their mind control. Why couldn't they hop on Robin, Kid Flash, and fucking Aqualad to control their minds and get them to get back in their pods? Well, you couldn't control Superboy anymore for some fucking reason, but yeah, that was like, wait a second here, why couldn't they just do that and control these little motherfuckers and just clone them then? I don't know.
What about you, Grey Mouse? Was there anything that stood out to you on this particular one?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. Well, on this particular one, I tried really hard to go ahead and look for all of those things. But yeah, on this particular episode, I'd have to say maybe it's because if we're treating Independence Day as the first part and then Fireworks as the second part, pretty much were catching everything at like the tail end of act number 2 into act 3, and where everything was just like in a fever pitch, like literally from the get-go going into this thing. There wasn't a lot that I would have changed. Although I got to say, as far as genome things, it becomes obvious when all of the genomes, corner the heroes all in one place and everything, and the little genome, the little monkey gnomes go ahead and make them all pass out, that Double X is actually in charge of everything, and he's keeping everybody in check to make it possible for them to go ahead and escape. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's kind of the only grace right there. That kind of okay, we've got that little tidbit that can be explained. All right, okay. So if there wasn't anything that we could sit there and like go ahead and say, all right, there isn't anything I didn't like on this. Well, okay, maybe there was one thing that I didn't like. I hated Dr. Desmond. Okay, I don't get how you can sit there. It's actually a wonderful thing that they went ahead and they made a character so hateable in just 2 episodes. All right, where it's like, wow, I really hate this fucker, and I was really happy that it went down. Okay, but to continue on, okay, the last part that we're going to go over is that now that we've seen this multiple times, okay, what stood out to you as something that stood as a hint for things in the future, and really kind of, was like, wow, that really set things up for later on.
Superboy, his mannerisms, his attitude. And then, okay, you knew that Aqualad was going to be the leader, but you knew that they were going to set it up for Robin later. That was just a common sense about it, and I like the way they went about it. You saw Aqualad. You saw Aqualad start to come out with his leadership as things were going on, and so for him to be placed as leader, that's fine. And plus, he was the oldest of those 3. He's the oldest of Kid Flash and Robin and stuff like that, and even Superboy technically. Yeah, the joking around with Kid Flash and Robin, that takes place in later episodes as well. And I really like the way that they did all of that. It was just like, yeah.
What about you, Gray Mouse? What stood out to you as kind of something that was like, now that you've seen the episodes multiple times, it might have been a big giveaway, a real big setup to something that happens much later in the series?
Well, at this point, we didn't really know who the Light was until after they got revealed. I think they didn't get revealed until towards the end of season 1? Or was it season 2?
It was much later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how they set that up and kept that group mysterious, but there was also pieces that were moving even behind them. So you were always guessing what is the Light? Who are the Light? What are these group? All you see is panels.
One thing I would like to add is that in nearly every episode, you would think that the episode was going to end with the heroes or a happy ending. And next thing you know, you show bad guys having conversations somewhere that will have a prelude to what was going to happen later. You would hear the Light, you would hear the bad guys, or you will see certain people shaking hands, and it's like, whoa. So this chapter is not even closed. This chapter is just adding on to other chapters. Almost every freaking episode does that. And of course, at the end of Fireworks, that kind of sets that pace, because the end of episode 1, Independence Day, yeah, you saw Dr. Desmond, or even at the beginning, talking to the Light. But then at the end of the episode, you saw the Light, and it's like, okay, so they're going to try to keep this going a bit.
Well, we don't even know what happened he did drink the tonic and became Blockbuster, but we don't know what happened after that. He just got knocked out from all that building, so that's one thing that they didn't set up. But like you were saying, a lot of plots. Especially the interaction between the characters, between the Young Justice, and it sets up the plot for future episodes, especially, you know, with Miss Martian. She goes, "I like your shirt, Superboy." So I was like,
she changed to black.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, she turns to black and has that X. Not really, but yeah, I was like, oh, okay. You know, the more that you watch it, the more little subtle hints that you get, or you pick up on more. But yeah, I picked that. I was like, okay, so there's going to be, looks like a relationship's going to happen.
Yeah. The one thing that stood out to me on this particular one, it happened right at the beginning of the episode. Dr. Desmond is talking to the members of the Light, or the Cadmus board of directors, right? And he asks them, and he tells them, "Hey, look, we have intruders. It's the sidekicks from members of the Justice League." And he asks them, "What should I do with them?" Lex simply answers, "Clone them." And Vandal Savage follows it up with, "The substitutes will serve the Light and only the Light." This right here is actually a big setup to a huge fucking reveal that happens right at the end
of the season,
pretty much of season 1. All right.
But you see, that plot actually develops throughout the season too. Throughout season 1, that plot sticks.
I mean, it's really amazing that, you know, the Light, we don't know their identities.
Yeah, but
all the way through the season 1, I suppose, and it kind of keeps that mystery. We know that somebody is behind, you know, doing the puppeteering, but we don't know who.
Yeah, I mean, with this particular point though, especially when we come into later plot, storyline and plot points, especially when it comes to who the mole is and everything else. This particular point, like I said, especially watching it now and actually paying attention to the details that they put into it, it's like, wow, they set up like literally the huge reveal like 2 or 3 episodes from the end of the whole season, right at the second episode. Yeah. Okay, and it's something that definitely will go ahead and become important. All right. Was there anything else that we wanted to go ahead and add on this particular one? We're actually keeping it pretty tight. I like the progress that we've got so far. Yeah, I think right now we're around 20 minutes with everything.
No, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, it was a good episode, and once again, great opening to a great new series. Today is the day.
Yeah. Great Mouse, any last things? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this particular one. Like I said, folks, we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be reviewing and going over each and every one of the episodes of Young Justice. We're just barely on the second episodes of season 1. We got 24 more for this particular season, then 20 for season 2 to go. If you're a fan of the series or if you've seen the episode, we'd like to know, what did you think of it? What did you like? What stood out for you? What are the things that you caught now that you've watched maybe the 2nd, 3rd, 12th, 24th, 64th time? Like some of the people in this particular video. All right. We'd like to know. You can tell us by leaving us a comment below. While you're at it, hit likes and hit subscribe. We really appreciate you doing that. It helps us out a lot. And it, kind of tells us that somebody's actually watching out there. All right. With that, our review on Season 1, Episode 2 of Young Justice Fireworks that aired November 26, 2010 is going to end right here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
Every form of entertainment has a right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.